Okay, so let me try to share. Got it. My screen with you all. Just to be sure that will work. Yes. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
With the book?
Yeah.
All right then. So, but I just lost you guys. Okay, then. So you come over here. Now read through them. So let's start our wonderful Saturday. Father, that art in heaven, here we are together in your name once more to improve the little we know about mediumship, the little we know about ourselves. Help us out, giving us the right intuition to have the questions, to minimize our doubts, and perhaps to help those that may be around us, we cannot even perceive them. Be with us today and always. So be it. So we had stopped with last week at this point, right? So I was watching the last study. It was very interesting, the comments from Munir. And I think that's also important to us because that gives us a little push in the direction that we need to study. We always needed to study, right? And it does help the spirits, as you saw last week. With mediums whose current or previously acquired intelligence is developed, our thought is communicated instantly, spirit to spirit, through a faculty inherent in the essence of the spirit itself. In this case, we find the appropriate elements in these mediums' minds for clothing our thought with the corresponding words, whether these mediums are intuitive, semi-mechanical, or entirely mechanical. There is a book, and the medium was Robson Pinheiro, and the spirit was Joseph Leber. He had been told that he had to start to write some of the books that he did after. But before he was able to, the benefactor told him, you need to read first this book. And as far as I remember, he could not even understand what was written in the book. It was only to allow his spirit to be prepared to use such a vocabulary. So that's the way things work sometimes. And perhaps we don't need to do this because we had past information, right? But sometimes we do have to. But depending on the nature of the work you will be doing, I would recommend to listen to the benefactors. Because in the same way that this information could be helpful, perhaps it could also be a stone in a way. For example, if you want to ask about specific questions for the spiritual world, let's talk about botanics, right? I know nothing about botanics, right? So anything that comes through me will be more authentic because I really know nothing about botanics. I know grass, I know aloe vera, and that's it. More than that, You can ask me and I do not know. And if I start to give information about different type of herbs, flowers, trees, whatever, that is really not in my knowledge, that will help the exercise. If I do have a previous study about this matter, about the subject, because I will be asked such questions, perhaps there will be a question mark. Is this information coming from me because I study this before I answer the question, or this is really an information coming from the spiritual world? So there are different types of work, different types of needs. So I strongly recommend to speak to the benefactors to see what they would recommend in such a case, all right? That is why that in spite of several spirits communicating through the same medium, the data received from them always bear the personal stamp of the medium, both in form and in style. Because although the thought is not exclusively the medium's own, the topic is not part of his or her customary concerns. And even though what we want to say does not derive from him or her in any way, the medium does not cease to exert a personal influence on the form by giving it individualized quantities and properties. Now we have a problem. Because if I try to understand this in depth, every single message we receive, we have a bit of us. So what is that? And a lot of people panic about it. It is called animism because it's coming from our soul, from ourselves, right? So that's not a big issue at all. I don't have any problem with that at all, as you know by now. But what I'm trying to say is we cannot accept everything and we cannot discharge everything. Because sometimes we are very eager to say, I prefer to lose 99% of information instead of being made a fool like. We may be losing a lot of good information. So I would urge people to develop the skills to analyze the information that's coming. When we are in the very beginning of our practice, we have examples like Chico that he was exercising for more than a decade before he was allowed to publicize something, right? So it all depends on the nature, the need, and how we will do about it. But we have to be very careful because whatever information coming through us as a medium, we are also responsible for it. We are also responsible for the consequences of those messages. So we need to be made aware of it. It's not just, I can write anything, I can sign anything, I can do anything, and I'm okay. It's not like that. We are responsible. Okay? It is precisely like when you look at the several places through tinted lenses, green, white, blue. Although the places and objects are entirely different and totally independent from one another, they nonetheless always appear with a coloration given to them by the various lenses. In a different word, we are the lenses. We can make a little bit of makeup to the information we are receiving. And now I realize I have two hands. Who was first?
Munira first.
Okay, good.
Thanks. Again, I just want to call attention, to the first two words on this page here, form and style. They emphasize here very much form and style, but not content. So this is important. You know, I may write in sort of a certain style or, you know, structure the message in a certain form, but the content, you know, something different. They emphasize very much here these two words, form and style. So, you know, mediums in development should be very careful with that, you know, not my ideas, but my way of writing, the words I choose, you know. We know some mediums like very difficult, elaborate words. It's their style, but the content of the message should, you know, be kept original, as much original as possible, you know.
Just to say that I have the spirit A is going to give exactly the same message by 10 different mediums. The 10 messages will be different, will be written in a different way. But the content of the message could be the same, right? Denise.
You said that the media is responsible for the content, yes? But if he is right, without the knowledge, how I understand that he's responsible for publicize the content or share the content, but what he writes, he's going to evaluate, and then if he thinks that's not good, throw away. But he cannot be responsible. And I think like it's also the whole table. I mean, the whole like the people that participate. Isn't everyone that works together to evaluate the content of the message and then decide, okay, is this message worth to keep or was not a good one? I'm just a little bit thrown away by the responsibility where if he's not aware of what he's writing.
I understand, and sometimes we don't like to be told that we are responsible for something, because that implies that we can do right, we can do wrong. But we are responsible for anything we do in our lives, right? If you get a message, I'll paint an example that I like very much because that was a true example. And one person came to the Spirit Center, and a medium that was very eager to talk, to show that he had abilities, that he was clairvoyant, went to that person. Oh dear, you are in a very poor status. There is a very nasty spirit around you. And this person had just arrived in the Spirit Center asking for help. Let's assume this person was a suicidal person, or at least was having suicidal thoughts. Because of what you said, this person simply turned around, found the nearest bridge, and jumped. This person went there to ask for help. And because of your need to appear, to shine, this person found a little push to commit suicide. So you are responsible.
Yeah.
Likewise, a message. If you write a message, let me get two different names here. Pablo, I have a message from your father. I don't even know if his father is alive or not. Huh? No, it's just an example. Your father is telling blah, 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 and you should do blah, 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 blah. Signed, by any reason, you signed the right name of his father. Pablo, he was totally unstable at the time. Because it was recent, let's say a couple of months before he lost his father. And because of this message, he made choices that impact on his life. You are responsible for it. Because mediums like to shine. Human beings like to shine. I am medium this. I can see, I can hear. Medium like to talk. Right? I'm not targeting anyone specifically. I'm talking in general. medium like to talk about themselves. They like to be on spotlight for many different reasons. I got a message for Jackie. I need to give to Jackie. Without having people that are more accustomed to evaluate messages, doing an evaluation, without someone that's more experienced, analyzing the consequences of the content of this message. There are mediums that I also believe I can recognize any spirit by the energy. It's not always the case. It's not always the case. I may have a spirit coming, signing this message that you received for Jackie, and he's having a laugh, or he's trying to disturb her. So the medium is indeed responsible for whatever coming from them. Likewise, I'm here just talking. I'm not here under any spiritual influence. I'm just talking here. Whatever I'm talking here, I'm responsible for the words that are coming out from my mouth. Because I can lead you guys to a good path, or I can lead you guys to a wrong path. I can teach you something that's correct. I can teach you something that's totally incorrect. And that's why from time to time I say here, the Spiritism does not recognize this. There's no such a word in the Spiritism, because I'm trying to give as best as I can the information that could be positive and that could be endorsed by someone like Kardec, like Chico. So whatever we do in our lives, we are responsible. I'll go even further. We are parents. Every little example we give to our kids, we are responsible. If down the road my son decides to smoke because I'm smoking beside him, I'm responsible as well. Of course, I'm not 100% responsible because he has his free will, he has his share of responsibility, but I also have this responsibility. I have, let's say, 100 bottles of spirits in my home. I'm telling a message. It's all right to drink. It's all right to start to drink when you're 12, 13, 14. I'm giving messages. I'm giving examples. And I'm responsible for all of them, if we like or not, if we believe or not. In our work environment, our attitudes are also examples. On the street, your attitude is also examples. So we are responsible for everything. But when we start to analyze in this direction, sometimes we feel very uncomfortable because it put us in a spotlight, but not the spotlight we want. Not the spotlight that I'm shining on the news or something like that. No, on the spotlight that I am indeed responsible. I need to be careful what I say. I need to be careful what I do. I need to be careful what other people are seeing on me. I had another example. I'm not talking to Denise, I'm talking to everyone, right? This is a totally, I think this is a subject to everyone. One of the persons that I did work with her for a few years, before I started to work, she laid down a papyrus, like 3 meters of things that I should accept before I start to do that kind of job. This. Well, the list is quite difficult. It's quite long. And in the end, she said to me, "You're not obliged to accept. Nobody is. But if you do accept, you need to follow that. Because I cannot have someone working with me in this particular activity, and half an hour later, when things are done, people can see him on the streets doing this. We need to have common sense. We need to have a path. Again, you're not obliged to accept. But if you do, you're accepting following those morals examples. There were tough examples. Because if we like or not, people watch us. I have Munir talking about Spiritism. But he only talks. All the examples he gives is exactly the opposite. I have Cherry advocating a lot of Spiritism. But every single example she gives is contrary to what she is advocating. That's why being a medium, according to the Spiritism, is a responsibility. We need to embrace some decisions that, if we are serious about it, will change our life. Because none of us are perfect. Starting by me, I'm way far away from that. But because I decide to be a medium, I'm not talking about me, just as an example, I decide to be a medium. I decide not to do stupid things in this direction, that direction, the other direction. I cannot be seen as someone that's not serious, not reliable. Or I cannot talk about something and do something entirely different. So we are responsible for everything in our lives. And our life today is the consequence of our responsibility in the past. Thankfully, today we have a better perception of the path we should follow. But everything in our existence is law of actions and effects. And that is what? Responsibility. I spoke a lot, Denise. Sorry, but I thought what you asked was beautiful.
No, okay, thank you.
And I lost where I stopped. I guess I stopped here on where I highlighted. So it is precisely like when you look at the several places through tinted glasses. No, sorry. We finish here on lenses. So let me talk about lenses that he's referring to here. Munir, he likes a lot to use the word wonderful. I like a lot use the word nice. Constancia like a lot use another word, all in the same sense. The same spirit is irradiating the message to all three of us. Munir will use the word beautiful. I will use the word nice. Constancia, you use the word that she likes more often. But on the end of that message, the content will be the same. So that's what the lenses they're talking about. A better example. But something came to my mind here as well. I have a tendency to believe in something. Let me use an example here. I have a tendency to believe in crystals because I had been in contact with another branch of knowledge, not the Spiritism. And I really identify myself having crystals in my shelves, in my home, in my purse. And I believe that to treat people, I need to treat people with crystals because that's what I like. The benefactor will send a message. Let's heal the person in this direction. This medium that's more like into crystals will find a way to add into the message a little crystal. The medium that likes herbs will try to put a little bit of herbs, and so on. So we can always also, through our lenses, add things that are not there. but are things that I like. So we need to be very careful. Talking about crystals, because this was a subject that happens not too long ago. One person pretty much into crystals was trying to convince a spiritist center to add this practice. A group of people were not in favor, but we have the characteristic to ask the benefactors about, is this something that we need to start to do? Because we have to remember that Kardec also said things may progress, things may change. But then to change, it has to be validated, analyzed, and blah, 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 right? So then we went to the benefactors and we asked, do we have to start thinking about having chromotherapy on the Spiritist Center? And the message from the Spirit was, no. I would recommend a bit more study about the Spiritism. Because here on the spiritual world, we use a lot of lights when we are giving healing, when we are giving treatment. There is no need to have lights or crystals from your side. We do whatever we need from our side. And he was about to finish his communication. And they said, oh, but just one thing, my son. There's a lot of people that feel uncomfortable going to a Spiritist center. Feel uncomfortable receiving whatever we may have to offer in a Spiritist center. In that case, it's positive for the person to receive this type of treatment through a professional outside the Spiritist center. Because somehow those methods will help the person. But inside the Spiritist center, there's no need for this because they already do what they have to do from the spiritual world. Hi, Munir.
Hi, Guilherme. This is a very common dilemma, and we see here in Brazil. It's very common. People want to add different types of alternative medicine and so on. Nothing against them, crystals or herbs or whatever. But we should remember, a Spiritist center is a Spiritist center and nothing else. If adjacent to that, people want to open, a chromotherapy or a herbal treatment or, alternative clinic or whatever, fine. But I think a Spiritist center should remain a Spiritist center, 100% purely Spiritist center. Otherwise, you won't know if you're going to, alternative therapy center or a Spiritist center. Perhaps, people in other alternative types of medicine, they could study Kardec and, apply healing if they want, but they shouldn't call themselves Spiritists, because the Spiritist is, according to what Kardec, established as a Spiritist center. The problem is mixing things. In the end, you don't know what is Spiritist, what is, chromotherapy or herbal therapy or in any other type of therapy.
Munir, I was involved in a research back in Brazil to open a new activity on the Spiritist Center. What we call spiritual treatment is a different type of healing process inside a Spiritist Center. And the benefactors, they told us, you need first to start to do a research. You need to go in those places where they already work with this kind of method. You need to open your research and you need to do different things. Fair enough. And I remember that part of this research, I paid to do a Reiki course because I want to know everything about magnetism, how it was used, whatever could be available to try before we start something. And I did. In the first event of this course, I don't remember how many days it was, I said, this is magnetism. this is the healing we do in the Spirit Center, right? And was positive. They have some techniques, some different words for same things we do. That's fine. And I said, okay. And then was the level 2. You had to pay for the level 2 as well. And I said, perhaps on the level 2, there will be something different. Then I went to the level 2. Everything they did there is exactly what we find on the Spiritism in our format, with the words that we use, right? And later on, after this research was over and we have implemented the job, we were working for more than 1 year, one person came, I think we should do healing, we should do Reiki here, because Reiki is helping a lot of people. Our answer was, I think you need first to understand what is the mechanism behind Reiki and what is behind what we do here. And you see that we already do. No, it's not the same. Well, I recommend you to dig a little bit, to study a little bit, and it's the same. But in the format, that is what we do on the Spiritism, right? And nowadays, even words, a lot of people try to bring words into the Spiritism, words that are from different creeds, because they feel comfortable with those words. And I have nothing against it, nothing at all. But as I remind from time to time, the Spiritism does not give me any information to corroborate with this information or this word or whatever. Because as you rightly said, here in this environment, we're talking about Spiritism, right? Hi, Liz. I just saw your hand.
Hi there, everyone. Right, yeah, sadly, our medical system is in a very dire strait nowadays, and it really doesn't heal people as it should and used to. It's not God's way of healing. On the Reiki, sadly, a lot of the symbols have got transposed, and so they're used the wrong way around. So they have the adverse effects on people, and this is very common. So you have to be very careful and ensure that you actually go to the original founder of Reiki to get the actual symbols, or you're doing more harm than good. Also, the spirits are absolutely quite right when they're actually giving light healing, because we are light, our bodies are light, and when that light gets blocked in the body, disease sets in. You see, we have to have coherent light, and our light emanating from our body is vertical. If it gets blocked in any way through a scar, a tattoo, or something like that, anything, energy does not get to a certain area in the body. And I'm talking from personal experience here with an operation just next week because of that. But I can heal that because of my knowledge. So the spirits, when they give energy, it's absolutely essential. They're actually recalibrating where they can the energy in the body so that it is not going off on a tangent. So people have to remember that we are energy.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. But as a primary example, you spoke about a lot of things that we cannot find on the Spiritism, right? So, not saying they are right, they are wrong, but they are not on the Spiritism, okay? So that's one thing that also happens when we try to get knowledge from every different direction. On the end, I'm not picking on you, Liz, not at all. I'm just giving it as an example to everyone. On the end, what is what? And I've seen in the past people getting lots of information from different directions, putting on the same basket, shaking. And in the end, was very difficult even to understand, because that person had got things from the Vedas, got things from the Egyptians, they got things, and tried to make everything looks like Spiritism. It was very difficult. Very difficult. So here we do everything according to the Spiritism. And Spiritism is not the only knowledge. Spiritism is not a closed environment, but we follow some guidelines. That's why we don't have chromotherapy. That's why we don't have few other things into the Spiritist group. All right?
Well,
Thank
the
you.
New Age is quite to blame for bringing a lot of these things in because they're very faddy. And the thing is, they take just one aspect and they don't actually treat the whole body, so they can do more harm than good. And people put their faith in it, which is sad.
You said something very important too, Liz. Faith.
Yeah.
Faith is the key for everything. We can find the cure in ourselves, in a light, in a crystal, in a prayer, in the emptiness. We can find cure in many different places because faith is the key. Jesus said to us, your faith healed you. He never said he did. He said your faith healed you. So faith is the key. But sometimes we misplace our faith, and that is the risk. We may be falling into some traps because we misplaced our faith, and we misunderstood what we are choosing. But that's to all of us, huh? Hi, the other list.
I like that. Hi, the other list. Right. I think as human beings, we like to complicate stuff. I've been following your thought, Guilherme. I agree with you. And I've been listening to Liz. I agree with her. Everybody knows here that I'm a yoga teacher. And then therefore I have to study things. And for me, it doesn't go against Spiritism. It's just another way of seeing. I see, like in history, how people interpreted the same thing in different ways. And then they may find like, oh, let's put the crystal here because that is the safe blanket, whatever that people may think. I have my own opinions about this. Everybody has. But one thing that you said, Guilherme, I think we could develop a little bit. When the Spirit said to whoever was in that Spirit Center you mentioned, that people should go and look for a professional. We, as Spiritists, and wanting to bring things inside the Spiritist Center, we may go into an area that is not our expertise, as you said very well, but we may try to do things ourselves because we know a little bit. And it is dangerous, as Lee said as well, because then we don't have the knowledge in depth. And it's very important for us to separate it because it's so important. I think you said as well, other examples, for example, when you go to a doctor, and if you are feeling a pain, for example, in your stomach, you are not going to a doctor for the foot. You are going to something that, to a doctor that can really help you. So if people feel like they have to go and search for these roads, it is a choice, but be mindful to go and get someone that really knows what they are talking about, someone that, really is a specialist in it, and leaving that in the Spiritist Center, the spirits already know and do these things anyway, and let us just not to complicate things and keeping things simple. I'm trying to follow what Jesus always said to us, very simple things, and they are one of the hardest to do, the simple things, isn't it? So that's the only thing I want to really call attention and for people who really want to follow anything like that, to find professionals and, just, as I said, bringing things sometimes we don't know very well. And then, as Lee said, we can do more harm than good.
Yeah. The other list, let me just fill a little bit more, just to be sure that everyone understand what was the message received from the spiritual world in regards to the chromotherapy, right? In the Spirit Center, we will not emphasize or tell the people to go to find a professional to do chromotherapy. No. But there are situations where people, because of their belief, because of their creed, or any other reason, they will not put their faith into inside the Spirit Center. There are people that when we say to them that we are spiritists, they start to feel uncomfortable already because they believe what we do is not right. So in situations where people is totally against, is completely blocked to receive what we do on the Spirit Center, there are other alternatives that perhaps the person from that creed will be more open to accept, right?
I get
just
it.
want to make that very clear, just to people not to mix in things.
Yeah. And I think it is very important for us, wherever we are in the world, to be very respectful. And yes, we are following Kardec, and we are little advocates of Spiritism. And we need to, again and again, understand that message, and and be true to that message as much as possible. And if people, like I had people coming and wanting us to give a hint of the future and things, and understanding that our study group would involve somewhat a reading of the future, a reading of the person, or whatever. So it's no, this is what we do, but please feel free, there are other places that do it. It is your choice. We don't, we follow this. And, it's just to be mindful and respectful.
Mm-hmm. Liz, before I allow Munir to talk, and there's also Rafaela, because they are probably desperate to talk, and there's another thing. I heard before people saying, but the Spirit told me. Well, the Spirit could have different beliefs, different exposure, and different line of thoughts, like we all are, possibly having different line of thoughts, right? But spirits that work with the Spiritism, they also follow the same direction, all right? So go on, Munir, before I keep talking.
No problem, Clement. I just want to add, something on top of something you said, that, Spiritism doesn't hold the whole truth. We can find, part of this truth in different bodies of knowledge, especially serious bodies of knowledge. And they are like these tinted lenses that Kardec has mentioned. Each one is a different, lens with a color and perhaps a degree of transparency. We can see, from a different perspective. But if we try to pile them up and see through all of them at the same time, it gets darker, it gets obscured, it gets difficult to see through. So we choose the one that suits us, and then, stick to that. And or if we want to move, but not mix them. If we mix them, we make things more complicated, darker, as it were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. Imagine if we were in that Heike training course, whatever, and we decide to start to talk to the spirits that were also there. Probably everybody will run from the room. So as we said, we should not mix things, to not make things complicated, right? So now is Rafaela. How are you doing, Rafaela?
Guilherme, I just wanted to talk about what you've said earlier about alternative therapies and Spiritism. Obviously, Spiritism is very strict, and we only apply into practice what's being written by the book and what's being tested. and what is fail-proof almost. And that's one thing good about Spiritism, is the fact that all the mediumship has been tested, and we know that the guideline is the moral. If you fail at it, you fail at everything else, and pretty much everything that comes next to it or near spirit, like sort of spiritualistic, or it's frowned upon because there's not been any testing on it, even if that might be good. Which is not something I disagree. I think it has it's good, because it's if you follow it through, there's basically very little mistakes, and you get a really good success rate at the end. But I also think that we mustn't close our eyes to new discoveries, to new therapies, and to new things. I'm not saying that they should be absorbed by the spiritualistic religion, but maybe within your personal life, you can still open yourself up to a new discovery, to different things, as long as they do not offend the morals of anyone who may be watching. And they don't, when I say offend the moral, I don't mean like sexual or money orientated or drug or travel, whatever, anything that's psychotic inducing or medically crazy, but something natural that's proven to be good. Maybe we could also look into it, not as a spiritist, but as an individual outside religion, because otherwise new discoveries will never come along. If we just block ourselves completely, we can block ourselves from new learning as well, maybe. I don't know, this is my opinion.
As a human beings that we all are, we have the freedom to choose anything we want. Today, some of the complementary therapies are even available on NHS, on the Brazilian government system. So yes, those things will appear, and more will actually, those complementary therapies are something that are coming from the past. So we have used them already through our evolution. Now we are rediscovering those complementary therapies, right? And that's very nice. And I will never say to anyone not to do it. But in the Spiritism is a different thing. And the Spiritism is also open to new things. Remember the example I gave. Regardless that I knew kind of what the answer would be for the chromotherapy inside the Spiritist Center, there was no harm to ask for the benefactors of the Spiritist Center that we know from decades that we have proof of the results of what they do and how they do. Perhaps something new will come in the future, and the spirits will agree, yes, we need to implement that to the Spiritism centers, to the Spiritism body of knowledge. But that will come not with one person, not with my personal thought, not with my opinion. That will come as part of a new information spread, not only one place, several places. Universality of the teachings of the spirits. That is the basics of Kardec's work. So in that situation, yes. In that situation, yes. We will be kind of forced to evaluate something that perhaps we not agree with or we don't like to do. But then, again, with the universality of the teachings of the spirits, it will be hard to say no. Right? Hi, Liz.
We're spiritists, we study spiritism, and we study that because we're spirits. And as spirits, we are made up of light and energy. It's fact, though very few people know this, that 80% of all disease and illness and everything actually starts in the etheric, and only the cause is shown in the body. So unless you actually deal with the cause rather than the symptoms in the body, it's very difficult to heal. And to heal, you have to remember and use energy and light, photon. we're photons, basically. So that's a very important item to remember when choosing therapies. If you're talking about this chromo thing, I take it that's color. Yeah, color can be used, but it's only part of a therapy. It's not a healing in and of itself, and it would only be temporary without the cause being actually addressed. So yeah, photon light energy is absolutely, essential. So our illness begins in the perispirit. Yeah, that's about 80, 90 centimeters away from our body. But any illness that's in the perispirit actually is in the inside of the cell from the spirit. So the further out we go, the further in we connect with that symptom from the cause from the outside of the body. People don't know that. It's important, absolutely important, essential.
You're really trying to poke a bear here today, huh?
Well, spiritism is based on science, isn't it?
Yes, but let me start talking about photons. Can you tell me where you found about photons in Allan Kardec's work?
I found that from my own connected holistic doctor who's been practicing for 50 years.
No, that's fine, but in Kardec.
He's a biophysicist, chemist, yeah.
Yeah, but in Kardec, could you find this word photon somewhere?
Maybe in Genesis?
Maybe, no, because photon is something that has been found more in the recent time, right? But why am I talking about photon? Photon has been proved by science. And Kardec said, what has been proved by science, we have to look carefully into it to bring into the spiritism. All right? So it has been proved by science, the existence of photons. Today, we know a little bit more about photons, and we should study about it, right? But there are other things. It's just a different line of thought or a different line of knowledge. Eventually, in the future, things may be proven scientifically, and we will try to bring that closer to the spiritism. But there's a lot of things we don't know yet. There are things that we believe. We believe is something very dangerous, because I believe in a lot of things that are not in spiritism. And in a spiritism study, I don't bring like that because I will mix things, right? So I truly believe that in the future, a lot of things that we believe on the spiritual world, that we believe there are methods that we believe can be helped, will be proven. And when will be proven? When we have at least some indices of the existence of it, then we'll bring to closer to the spiritism. Hi, Osoli. Osoli?
Hi. Hey, good morning to everybody. Yeah, I understand this aspect. I understand you because this is the way, but not now. We are energy, but we are individual in energy, indeed. But we are good way. So that time though we are energy, but not the same pantheism. Not that, because a good made us, created us individual. We are a spirit, and I understood you because it was very, very difficult to me too. You have said that I have a strong faith, but in the beginning, many years, 45 years ago, 40 years ago, and I know you because some parts of spiritus, I had a difficulty, but then I understand that then spiritus told that time about the future, but not now. Now we can't because we were so, thank you, Liz, that we were here in the earth, so not interesting words. If we compare another next word, the next, we are so small here. We are, you are a bit small. Yes, we are here. When we must accept at with our hearts. It doesn't matter. I feel, I don't want to accept this, but I must accept that I am only one spirit. And the spirit to go the way, it depends what I do here for me, my proud, my everything. So, last we have here in the world. And we deserve this word. We are here because I need this. But I must say to you, some system in universe, they are almost only energy. They don't need anything more because they are, but they are not good. Good is good. What is good is good. Our creator is our creator, but they understand the good. And I know it's very difficult, but this is the way we must accept, and not have another kind of healing and adultery in a spirit center. It's very easy because they come new people. They come enthusiastic. Oh, I read the spiritus book. I loved. I want to be a spiritus. And there come Reiki. They come chromotherapy. They be crazy because not having the spiritus a book, not the 5 spirits book, no have there. So only this. I'm sorry, I must say this. I love you, Liz. I love you because you are wonderful, very much wisdom. I know, and I love you. But I must say this. So sorry.
Thank you, Erosoli. So now going back to Liz because our time is up. So Liz, go on.
Just a quick one. The reason why I suggested Genesis was because God said, "Let there be light." I don't know of much life that can exist without the sunlight.
I'll let you search through the satellite called James Webb. I think that's the name of the satellite, if I'm not wrong. Have a look on this. You see that things bigger than the sun by now. All right. So, but yes, thank you all, everyone. Thank you very much. And Pablo, as I haven't spoke to you today, can you do our final prayer?
You have. I was an example earlier.
Did I? Oh, I forgot that.
Master Jesus, thank you once again for allowing us to be all united and for allowing us to discuss, to have different points of view, and to be able to reflect and to know that we are here specifically to study mediumship and its benefits, its dangers, and what is involved in it. Thank you once again, and be with us. Let us have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, and so be it.
Amen.
Thank you, everyone. Very nice study. See you all next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.